Sure. Here's a 500-word story that introduces 10 habits that will make your life happier in a narrative, relatable way. It blends storytelling with gentle life advice, making it engaging and insightful. The Notebook of Happiness. It started with a notebook. After a hard breakup and a job that drained the life out of her, Mia packed her bags and flew to her grandmother's cottage in the countryside. No plan, no timeline, just the hope that silence could help her breathe again. On her second night there, while digging through an old drawer looking for candles, she found a worn brown leather notebook labeled in faded ink, "For when you forget how to be happy." Inside were 10 short, handwritten entries, each just a sentence or two. But something about them felt deeply personal, like a whisper from the past meant only for her. The first page read, "Start your morning with intention, not your phone." The next day, Mia left her phone untouched and walked barefoot into the garden with a cup of tea. She listened to the birds, stretched in the sunlight, and felt the quiet enter her chest like a gentle wave. Page 2. Move your body every day, even if it's just a walk. She wandered the nearby trails, no headphones, no rush. Just the sound of her footsteps grounding her back into the world. Page 3. Say thank you, out loud. Mia began saying thank you for her meals, her warm bed, the sunrise. Slowly, gratitude seeped into her bones, even on the loneliest mornings. Page 4. Talk to someone without distractions. She called her best friend and talked for an hour. No multitasking, no scrolling. It was the most connected she'd felt in months. Page 5. Give something without expecting anything. She baked muffins and left them at her elderly neighbor's doorstep. The smile she received later that day was worth more than she imagined. Page 6. Keep a joy journal. Write one thing every day that made you smile. Some days it was a flower blooming. Other days, just the smell of clean laundry. But each entry became a tiny spark of light. Page 7. Limit complaining. Speak of solutions more than problems. She caught herself mid-rant about the weather, then laughed. Instead, she made soup and lit candles. Cozy, not cranky. Page 8. Be kind to yourself in your thoughts. Mia stopped calling herself lazy or a mess. She began saying, "I'm healing," and it changed how she moved through the day. Page 9. Learn something new, even something small. She started sketching leaves, imperfect and wobbly, but hers. Joy bloomed in the effort, not the result. And the final page, go outside every day, no matter the weather. Even in the rain, Mia walked with her hood up, puddles splashing like a child. She laughed out loud, alone, but not lonely. Weeks passed. She returned to the city. The job was still stressful, the traffic still loud, but Mia had changed. Happiness wasn't a destination anymore. It was in her habits. And every now and then, she'd pull out that old notebook and read the words that saved her. 10 quiet truths that led her home. Let me know if you want this as a voiceover. Absolutely. Here's a 500-word continuation of the story, deepening Mia's transformation and showing how the 10 habits begin to influence not only her internal world, but her interactions and the people around her. Back in the city, Mia feared she'd lose the stillness she had found. The apartment lights buzzed with that cold, artificial flicker, and the hum of traffic seeped in through the windows, no matter how tightly they were shut. But the habits she'd planted during her time away had taken root, small, quiet rituals that followed her like loyal companions. Every morning, she resisted the pull of her phone and lit a candle instead. She brewed her tea slowly, like a ceremony, and wrote a single sentence in her joy journal before facing the world. Some mornings were harder than others. Deadlines pressed, emails piled up. But she had changed. Rather than letting her day spiral, she anchored herself in the simple acts that grounded her. She found herself listening more closely in conversations, not just waiting to reply, but really hearing people. When her coworker broke down in tears during a stressful afternoon, Mia sat beside her, phone turned off, hands wrapped around a warm mug of tea, offering nothing but presence. "You're different," her coworker whispered, calmer, like rooted. Mia smiled and thought of the notebook. The thing about habits, she realized, is that they're contagious. Her roommate, once a night owl addicted to takeout and endless doom scrolling, started joining her for morning walks. They'd go 10 minutes around the block, mostly in silence, but both felt better for it. On weekends, they began cooking together, not gourmet meals, but simple food made with care. Roasted vegetables, herbal teas, Sunday soups. They laughed more, argued less. The energy in their apartment shifted. Mia also noticed that she was no longer chasing happiness like a prize to be won. Instead, she was tending to it, moment by moment. On bad days, she didn't spiral. She didn't numb out or scroll endlessly. She knew to go outside, even just to stand on the balcony and feel the air. She knew that writing one small joy, even just the way the rain sounded on the glass, could change her whole emotional weather. She remembered something her grandmother once told her. Happiness is not loud. It's not always laughter and parties. Sometimes it's just quiet contentment, the peace of knowing you are enough, right here as you are. And now, Mia understood that. One afternoon, she bought a brand new notebook, leather-bound, blank. She titled it, "For When You Forget How to Be Happy, Volume 2. This time, she began writing her own lessons. Tiny additions built on the foundation of those first 10. Things like, forgive quickly, it lightens your spirit, and take yourself on a date, even if it's just to a bookstore. She didn't know who might read it someday. Maybe no one. Or maybe, like her, someone would stumble upon it when they needed it most. And just like that, Mia realized she wasn't just living with better habits, she was becoming someone who could pass them on. Let me know if you'd like this whole story turned into a voiceover, or if you'd like a summary of the 10 habits in a different format. Of course, here's a 200-word paragraph that adds a warm, reflective close to Mia's story, showing how her journey continues with a sense of quiet purpose and inner strength. Months later, on a quiet Sunday morning, Mia sat on a park bench with her notebook resting on her lap. The trees were turning gold, and the air carried that crisp scent of change. Around her, life moved as usual. Joggers passed, kids laughed in the distance, but she felt still. Not the kind of stillness that comes from doing nothing, but the kind that grows when you've made peace with yourself. She opened her notebook, flipping past pages filled with lessons, memories, and tiny joys. She didn't need dramatic transformation anymore. What she needed, and now had, was consistency. A rhythm that kept her grounded through chaos, calm through storms. Looking back, she realized happiness was never about grand moments. It was about honoring the small ones. The cup of tea, the shared walk, the page in the journal. She smiled, wrote one more line. Peace begins with presence, and closed the notebook gently. As she stood to leave, she caught the eye of a woman nearby who looked tired, maybe lost in her own story. Mia walked over, handed her the notebook, and simply said, "This helped me once. Maybe it can help you too." Then she walked away. lighter than ever. Let me know if you'd like this entire story turned into a voiceover.